Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Calafiori has finally been announced as an Arsenal player, so we had to go live for that one. And obviously we need to talk about the next signings because Edu is now back in UK despite the team heading to Philadelphia. He is back to the UK to complete some more deals. I think there's a lot of business that is going to go down the next 2 weeks, a lot of business. And Calafiori is fast up, and it's finally been announced the end of the saga. Finally, we've been carrying on with it for the last 3 weeks. But let's get to what Arsenal had to say about Calafiori. Let me get as many welcome to Arsenal Calafiori as possible in the chat. So this is what Arsenal have had to say about Calafiori. That looks good, man. Look at Ateta and Calafiori. That is absolutely perfect. I cannot wait for him to get started as an Arsenal player. So Arsenal say the 22-year-old defender was a member of the Azzurri squad at Euro 2024 after a season full of impressive performances at the heart of Bologna's defense. Ricardo started his career in the youth academy at Roma, where he spent 12 years developing from the youth setup into the first team. During his time there, he gained valuable experience on loan at fellow Italian side Genoa during the 21-22 season. In August 2022, the young defender, who has represented his national team at every age group, moved to Swiss side Basel, the team that has made us, wait even longer for this deal, where he was regular and made 26 league appearances that season. His high-quality performances resulted in a return to his homeland, with the imposing defender transferring to Bologna in 2023. Last season, Ricardo was a leading figure in their backline, emerging as one of the strongest and most consistent performances in Serie A. He played an integral role in helping Blue to an impressive fifth position. That is Bologna's nickname, I guess. And a fifth position in Champions League qualification for the first time in 60 years. Ricardo's dominant and physical performances were not only recognized with his Euros call-up, but by him also winning the Serie A Player of the Month for May 2024. So he was winning Player of the Month during the decisive part of the season. So he's built for this. He's definitely built for this. And then that looks amazing. Number 33, for those who are asking which number he was going to wear, that is the number 33. This is what Edu had to say about him. It has been a great team effort in completing the transfer, and we welcome Ricardo to the family. We identified Ricardo as part of our strategy to sign players who fit our profile, and we will reinforce our squad to compete at the highest level. He is 22, but brings quality and experience. He will quickly grow into being an Arsenal player. Ricardo has consistently shown his quality for his club and country. He was one of the best players in Serie A last season and gave strong performances for Italy in the Euros this summer. Mikel and our coaches are excited to start working with Ricardo, and I look forward to seeing him in our shirt. So he's already part of the team. I've seen the short Arsenal announcement video. He was literally part of the team meeting, so he's already started training with the team. He is going to feature for sure against Liverpool on Thursday morning. I cannot wait for him to play for Arsenal, man. I cannot wait for him to play. We've waited a long time, and it feels like we've waited for months for this deal to go through. Cookie can see in the chat, Lloyd, I can see in the chat, and everyone else watching on Facebook as well. I'm going to come to your comments very, very soon. Let's finish this. Is it done? It's actually done, yeah. So that is all Arsenal had to say about this Calafiori deal. Edu spoke about it. I think I've spoken about it as well. Really exciting, man. Really exciting. Getting a player like this, and I've seen someone at Arsenal that says even more happy by the fact that this player decided to choose Arsenal, because there's a lot of teams that wanted him. So I'd say he's over the moon with the fact that this player decided to join us. And it's big, man. It's big. 2-3 years ago, like literally 2020, 2021, we were struggling to attract players. Like players were deciding to go to Everton instead of Arsenal. Players were going to Juventus instead of Arsenal. Teams were going to Man United and Chelsea instead of Arsenal. Now, whenever we want a player like this, he says, listen, I want to join Arsenal. Forget about Juventus. Real Madrid wanted him in the last minutes as well. He decided to say, no, I'm going to Arsenal. Chelsea wanted him. Leverkusen wanted him. PSG wanted him. Absolutely exciting, man, to get this deal done. And you get to see him playing against Liverpool on Thursday. Even better. So that is the first one. That is the one that is opening a door to every other signing. So quickly, just for 5 minutes, let's go through this. The qualities is going to bring to Arsenal. I'm not going to bore you to death because you've probably had this me saying this before. So he's strong in ball interceptions, aerial duels, passing, tackling. I want to see some of that in the preseason, the 3 games coming up. I'm sure we will see a lot of that. This is an incredible player, and the fact that he won Player of the Month in May, and last season he was one of the best players, and at the Euros he's one of the best players as well. And the fact that he led his team to the Champions League, incredible. And the fact that he can also carry the ball. Let's check out the next 2-3 games that he's going to play for us. Let's see. Let me know which ability you're going to notice the most. Is it the ball interceptions? Is it the tackling? Or is it the ball carrying as well? Because his ball carrying is absolutely incredible. It led to 14 chances created last season at Serie A, and that was with him playing at centre back. I've had an Italian expert saying, Italian football expert saying, I don't want Arsenal to play Calafiori at left back. I want them to play at centre back, but because that is why it's absolutely incredible. And I was like, centre back, man. We have Gabriel and Saliba. They've been two of the best defenders the last 2 years. That would be crazy if we actually ended up dropping Saliba or Gabriel. That's not possible. I know it's easy for people to say drop Gabriel and play Calafiori, but it's not easy as that. Gabriel, if Saliba was the best defender last season, Gabriel was the second best defender in the league. You can't just drop him. Why not have all four of them of them in the team? Have all four of them in the team. Timber is always also there next season. Fantastic. Listen, I don't want to say I want Ben White in the first team or Calafiori in the first team or Saliba in the first team. No. Use each one of those players, just like Man City do with Ake and Gvardiol and all of those guys in defense. Use all of them. Let's not have a first team. Let today Timber play. Tomorrow it's Calafiori. The next day it's Ben White and Saliba. The next day it's Gabriel and whoever else is there next season. Tomiyasu, if he's there, he starts. Let's not have a first team or a second team. Play everyone. There's players there that we know have to play, like Rice, Odegaard, Saliba. Those ones have to play almost every single game. But every other position, you can rotate players. We can finally rest Saka if we get a winger. Defensively, you can finally rest players. We don't have to play Saliba and Gabriel for 38 games out of 38. We have rotation. So he can play everywhere. If he can play at left back for one game and then play at centre back for another game, I'm absolutely fine with that. He's going to bring the quality. We have a lot of competitions next season: Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Play him in every single game, if in every single competition if possible. Rotate it, absolutely no problem. So for me, I'm not looking at it like, drop Ben White, play Timber, play Calafiori, don't play Zinchenko. No, play all of them. If all of them are here next season, use all of them. We are going to be in a good place. We definitely have a better team than we had last season with the injuries. Like now, Tomiyasu will be back in the next couple of weeks. Timber is now back. Timber and Calafiori were not part of this Arsenal team last season that played in the Premier League. So imagine having Timber and Calafiori on top of Gabriel and Saliba and Bennett and all these guys playing last season. I cannot wait for them to get started, man. I cannot wait for him to get started. So just before I come back to Calafiori, this is what I had to say about Timber yesterday. He said, I've already discussed this in the previous video, but this is what he had to say. This is what he had to say. I'm all over the place. Now he's getting the rhythm because obviously he's missed a lot of football in the last year or so. Just look at him. His pressing, his leadership, his composure is like a new signing for us. Absolutely. Timber is like a new signing as well. We've asked him to play in a different position than we had in mind due to the numbers and the players we have at the moment. So looks like Ateta's plan is not to play Timber as a centre back. So I'm sure it's still going to be Gabriel and Saliba. So it's going to be Timber at left back or at right back. So I'm expecting a lot of rotation next season. Ben White will play some games. Timber will play some games. Calafiori will play some games. I think Zinchenko will still be here next season. I think he'll play some games. Probably not many, so maybe he'll have to be moved to midfield some games. And then I don't know if Kiva is going to be here. Tomiyasu will need to play some games. Use everyone. If we are able to have, let's say, for example, let's say we have this for playing in a Premier League game, and then you have a Carabao Cup game in midweek. You can even rotate all of them. You can have Zinchenko, you can have Tomiyasu, you can have Timber, and then whoever else is there, Kivi or someone else. That is a team that can start in the Premier League. So if you start them in the Carabao Cup, why can't we get in the final of that? Why can't we go all the way in the FA Cup as well and Champions League? But Calafiori deal is finally done. I'm absolutely excited by that one. It's I think they've not stated all the details in terms of the money and all that, but it's a 45 million deal in euros, 40 million euros, and then 5 million in add-ons, and then I think you're going to pay him around 65,000-70,000 per week, that is a bargain. 60,000-70,000 a week for Calafiori. If he stayed at Bologna and stayed there for another 2 years, they would have sold him for like 90 million. Like, there's no way he's getting worse. He's going to get better. He's 22 years of age. Obviously, it'd get better. We'd see him in the World Cup for Italy. We'd see him in the Champions League next season for Bologna. Like, it definitely get better. So for us to get in this early, if he comes in and plays well for us and becomes a first team member, plays 30, 40 games and makes an impact, then you can give him a new contract and add the money because this defense is incredible. I saw someone saying, why are we still buying defenders? I also didn't want us to buy a defender at the beginning of the transfer window. I was happy with our 8-7-8 defenders that we had. But listen, if we can concede 29 goals and then we throw in Timber and Calafiori to that team, we can go for the records. Let's have a season where you concede less than 20 goals. Because if you don't concede goals, you can't lose games. It's as simple as that. You have to score goals to win games, but if you don't concede goals, you can't lose games as well. And last season, it could have been a difference. Even if we didn't beat Aston Villa, even if we drew that game against Aston Villa home and away, easily as that, would have been on the same points as Man City. So just don't lose games that we lost last season and just draw a couple of them instead of losing. We win that Premier League title. So if you can change a couple of those losses even to draws, that is it. You still get 90 plus points. So these guys are going to make the team stronger. I've heard him speaking a bit of English, so that is great as well. Communication and all that is very decisive in this team. But that's not the only signing we want. So in case you've already watched the video I've just posted, I'm not going to talk in detail. I'll let you guys watch that one. But let me just go through it a few minutes. So Edu is back in England. The rest of the team has gone to Philadelphia, but he's back to England to finalize some deals. Now, it's both incomings and outgoings. There's a lot of business we still need to do. A lot of players. Smith Rowe, Nelson is still here. Ramsdale is still here. Who else? Nketiah is still here. Kive is still here. There's like 5-6 players that have been linked to the move away, but all of them are still here. We still need to make signings, and according to Sky Sports and a couple of other outlets I've just had 5 minutes ago, we are definitely going to sign a couple of more players. So Edu is back in England already to finalize these deals. Smith Rowe is probably one of them, but we were told that if Smith Rowe leaves, you're definitely going to get another midfielder right away, and that could be Merino. So what's the latest on Mikel Merino? This is the latest on Mikel Merino. Arsenal's interest in Mikel Merino is alive after new talks in recent days. Atletico Madrid tried to include him in the deal for Lenormand, but the player delayed. Barcelona are also interested but are focused on other targets right now. So why did he delay in terms of accepting Atletico Madrid's offer? Could it be because he's already spoken to Arteta and he's already decided to join Arsenal? Because that is what we do a lot these days. Like, we sign a player like even 2 months before we agree a deal, and then we just don't hear about them for a couple of months. So we just hear we are doing negotiations for even 2 months, and other teams come in for him, and other teams are told, listen, this player is already going to Arsenal, you're wasting your time. Maybe it's the same case with Merino. Maybe you've already discussed with him. Maybe in Arteta and Edu's head, this is already an Arsenal player. Maybe Merino already knows he's going to be playing for Arsenal next season. Now it's all about doing the negotiations. Maybe you've told them, listen, you're going to be back after a week. We have to sell some players first, but we will be back for him. We're going to pay the money for him, and it's going to be our next signing. That could be the case. Now, as they always say with the Spanish players, they usually expect Nico Williams to stay in Spain. Merino, high chance to stay in Spain because they love Spain. But Merino's played in England before for Newcastle, and he's already spoken to Arteta, and he's already played with Odegaard before at Sociedad. Maybe there's a lot of rare as well for Spain. Maybe there's a lot of reasons for him to join Arsenal. And for me, if we can get an extra signing like this, these are upgrades, let's be honest. Getting Calafiori instead of Kivio, I still want Kivio to stay, but he leaves. If he leaves, I still think you guys would agree that Calafiori is an upgrade on Kivio and Zinchenko. I think many of you would agree with that. I think many of you would agree that Merino is probably an upgrade on the midfielders that have left in El Neni, and if Smith Rowe leaves, again, I wanted Smith Rowe to stay, but if Merino can do both jobs in terms of attacking and defending, I think Arteta would prefer that. So those two players that you're bringing, there would be upgrades in terms of players that we already have. So Merino, 28 years of age as well, experienced. Why not bring him to the team? Absolutely no problem. 30 million euros, that would be a bargain as well. Why not? I'm going to be happy with that. So I think for this one, this is one of the deals that Edu has gone back to UK to finalize. But first, he needs to finalize this one. According to Melissa Reddy of Sky Sports, the feeling is that Emil Smith-Rowe could seal his move to Fulham this week with just the final details of the agreement left to finalize the transfer. So for sure, Edu is back in England first to do this deal, to finalize the Smith-Rowe one. And Smith-Rowe is still in Philadelphia, so I'm surprised by that. I thought you'd have been already back in UK, because by the time Arsenal leave Philadelphia, it's going to be Friday or something. And if Fulham want him by tomorrow or Wednesday, he'll need to leave the team and head back to London to finalize this transfer. We're going to get that 35 million, and then we're going to use it on Merino for sure. So that's the latest in terms of Edu heading back to UK and finalizing Merino and the Smith-Rowe deals. I've already done a video about it. I've posted it like 20 minutes ago. Make sure to check that one out. So finally, the last two, Ramsdale, Arsenal want 50 million, but I've also had Arsenal could be ready to accept 30 million for Ramsdale. I don't know if this is one of the deals, again, that Edu is finalizing. This one is very complicated with Ramsdale. I literally have no idea what the future is for Ramsdale. I don't know if it's going to be here until January. I don't know if he's going to be here next season until the end of next season. I don't know if he's happy to stay on the bench for next season and play the cup competitions. I don't know if Ateta wants him to stay anyway or wants him to leave and use that money for another player. Literally don't know. I don't know which teams are going to come in for him, because no one is going to pay 50 million for Ramsdale. That is for sure. I don't even think anyone is going to pay 40 million. The best we can hope for is to get the same money that we paid for him, which is around 30 million. But the teams that want Ramsdale, let's be honest, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, these Bournemouths and those guys are not going to come and pay 40 million for a goalkeeper. They don't have those finances. So at the moment, you're kind of stuck with Ramsdale. Unless we take that money down, which I don't want us to, let's not sell Ramsdale for 20 million. Ramsdale is not a 20 million goalkeeper. He's for sure 30 million plus goalkeeper. The reason Ramsdale is not playing for Arsenal is because it's not because he's not a good goalkeeper. No, is because the playing style that Arsenal have right now, it doesn't really fit. That is why he's not playing for Arsenal. But for any other Premier League team, I'd say 15 Premier League teams, Ramsdale would start for them. I think Ramsdale starts for Bournemouth. I think it starts for Crystal Palace. You could even argue maybe starts ahead of Pope for Newcastle. He can start for Brighton. He can start for, Ipswich, Leicester. He can start for all of those teams because he's a good shot stopper. Like if you give Ramsdale 20 shots, he would save a lot of them and he'd make a couple of world-class saves, as we saw 2 seasons before Raya joined. He's a very good goalkeeper. But in terms of playing out from the back, he cannot fit us. And that is why he might not be able to play for teams like Arsenal and Man City. So Ramsdale, we're not going to get that kind of money, but we have to wait and see. So Nottingham Forest are gambling on Arsenal letting him go out on loan at the end of the transfer window, which could be the case if you're desperately trying to get him off the wage bill or something. Maybe gamble on him going to another team, doing well, and then they sign him on a permanent deal. I don't know, but we could easily see Ramsdale still here, because at the moment we still don't have a second choice goalkeeper. Karl Hein is not going to be a second choice goalkeeper next season. There's already talk about him going out on loan. Setford and Negard, the 2 goalkeepers that we signed, they're not going to be a second choice. Raya is not going to play every single game. So if we don't sign a second goalkeeper and Ramsdale leaves, I think Raya could play every single one of those games, like the way I think it's United who do that, with Onana playing every single game, Carabao Cup, Champions League and all that. You could see the same. But Ramsdale, no idea what is going to happen with him. We have to wait and see. Maybe we hear some developments in the last 1 week if we do advance with this deal. And then Victor Gyökeres, I'm going to do it for 2-3 minutes because I've discussed him for a long time for the last 2 videos. But this is the latest on him. We did actually send scouts on the weekend, as I told you guys on Friday. We did send the scouts on Saturday. Arsenal scouts were in attendance, according to Graham Bailey, to check on Victor Gyökeres in action against Bilbao on Saturday. So that word, check on Victor Gyökeres, is not really to check whether he's good enough. No, we already know that he's good enough. It's to check whether he's recovered well from the injury, the operation that he had. It was a knee operation. We already have a striker who has problems with knees. So we don't want another one who would have problems with knees. So we sent scouts there to watch him and to see whether they had recovered from that injury. And I think there's good news. Maybe I don't know. I actually don't know whether how many minutes he played or whatever. Gyökeres has 84 million release clause, but there's a belief that Sporting could now accept a deal nearer 60 million. So what we need to do with this deal, we need to be very patient with it. This one is not going to take 1 day or 2 days to get Gyökeres. No, we're going to have to, decide whether we want to sign him. I think they will decide on trying to sign him. But then after that, we have to talk to the player and ask him if he really wants to join Arsenal. He wants to stay at Sporting. We don't know about that. Sesko decided to stay at Leipzig, so you never know with Gyökeres as well. He could decide to stay at Sporting. He's only been there for 1 year, so maybe you'd want to stay there a second year. I don't know. The weather is better in Portugal than England. That could be a reason. Maybe, but maybe he does want to join Arsenal. So after that, you have to agree on the personal terms and all that. That will take another 3-4 days for that to happen. And then after that, you have to talk with the team. Now, Arsenal is not going to pay 84 million for the player. There's no team that is going to pay 84 million pounds for the player right away. No team is going to do that. So there will have to be negotiations. Whether Arsenal tell them we're going to give you some money up, we're going to give you a package of 84 million, yes, but not all of it at once. We're going to give you a certain amount, and then next season they're going to give you a certain amount. Maybe they would reject that. Maybe Arsenal again will maybe offer a player, and then maybe they'll reject it. Maybe we'll take that up to like 70 million, and then maybe they'll reject it. So that will take a bit of time as well to get done. We'll need to be patient with this one. As long as we get him, I usually want all Arsenal signings to happen before preseason so that the players can take part in preseason for sure. I always want that to happen. It gives them time to train with the team. But if Calafiori has already joined us and Merino has already joined us, and then we sign Gyökeres, let's say 5 days before the Premier League starts, I have no problem with that. As long as we get it over the line, the season is 9 months. So even if we don't get him today, if we have to work so hard to get him for the next 2-3 weeks and we still get him, I have no problem with that, because it's not going to take 2 days. I'm pretty sure some of you in the comments are already saying, let's get him done, let's get it done tomorrow. It is not possible. Sporting will try to get as much money as they can, and I'm sure by the time they maybe say you're going to drop that price to 60 million, as Graham Bailey has said, you could hear a couple of teams coming in for him. So at that point, it depends on how much you've convinced the player to join Arsenal. Have you convinced him as much as we've done with Calafiori, as much as we did with Rice last season and those guys? Let's hope so, because this would be a big sign. If you get Calafiori, Merino, and Gyökeres, and then let's say the money that you get for Smith is the money that you've used to pay for Merino, and then you've only spent like that 33 million pounds on Calafiori, and then we end up spending like 60 million on Gyökeres. That would be like, in terms of our pocket, like from our pocket, that would be like less than 100 million. And remember, we are still going to sell more players. Ramsdale could still leave, Nketiah could still leave, Nelson could still leave. We could have a transfer window where we sold players for 90 million and they've bought players for like 120 million, 130 million if you include Ryan that as well. That would be great business, because there's still a lot of players who are going to leave. We've even sold players like Biereth. I don't remember how much he was, but you got some money from that. We're going to get a bit of money for Tavares next season. We're hopefully going to get money for Lokonga next season. Maybe that is a way as well to convince Sporting about Gyökeres. You can tell them, listen, we don't really have that money right now, but you're going to have the money next season, because there's 4 or 5 players who are we're going to get paid for next season, the likes of Tavares, then we're going to pay next season. Depends. We have to, sweeten the pot for them. Maybe tell them, you're actually going to give you 87 million if you wait for that extra year, whatever. But Gyökeres, this could still happen. It's good that we're actually going to go and try and sign him. If you hadn't sent scouts and it had gone quiet, then you'd be wide. Now for the Osimhen one, because we haven't really sent scouts and things like, okay, there's no way to send scouts anyway because he's not playing. But with the Osimhen one, it's gone very quiet and his money is a lot. He could even end up staying at Napoli until August 31st. So that one is difficult. But for Gyökeres, it could still happen. Let's see what happens with that. If you're going to sell Nketiah, if you're going to sell Reece Nelson, all 3 of these players could end up leaving. But Nketiah, as of now, there's nothing we can do. There's no team that has put the money on the table yet, apart from, I think, Marseille have, but they haven't really made a concrete offer like what Arsenal want. For Nelson, again, no one has really made any offer for him. We have to wait and see. Kivio, no one has made an offer for him as well. We have to wait and see. So a lot of business will be done over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the Premier League starts. I think we have 17 days before the Premier League starts. I think in terms of outgoings and incomings, I'm going to say we are going to see at least 5 of them. So in terms of players going out and players coming in, you're going to see at least 5 deals happening. Let's hope 2 of them are signings and then 3 of them are players leaving, because there's still a lot more that we need to do. If Ramsdale does leave, we'll still need another goalkeeper to be a second choice. So that is another one that we have to do. If Kiva is going to leave, that other guy in that picture with Ramsdale and Smith Rowe, Tierney, we'll have to find a solution for him as well. Hopefully, you can get some money for him. He's not going to stay as an Arsenal player for sure. There's others that, as of now, I feel like they're definitely going to stay from now. Partey, it's looking like he's going to stay. Jesus is looking like he's going to stay, unless we get some real last-minute deals. Vieira is looking like he's definitely going to stay. And for who else? It's Vieira, Partey, Zinchenko as well looks like he's going to stay. The ones that we weren't sure whether they're going to leave or stay, Zinchenko and Partey. Looks like all of them are going to stay. But again, I'd not be surprised if one of them ended up leaving at the end of the transfer window. But hey, for me, I love the team that we have right now. Starting from the goalkeeper, the defense. Guys, these 7-8 defenders that you're talking about after Calafiori has joined us? We're talking about Calafiori, Timber, even Zinchenko is better than Andre Santos, let's be honest. Even him, you can add him in that list. And then you have Ben White, and then you have Timber, and then you have Saliba, and then you have Gabriel. That is a scary difference. Like, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm scared. Like, we won't give any teams any chance to score. Like, this is scaring me. Instead of being happy seeing this, I'm scared. Like, this shouldn't be legal. This should be illegal, like having this kind of defense. But really looking forward to us, Calafiori getting started. He's officially been announced as an Arsenal player for the ones who are just joining right now. Make sure to get your welcome to Arsenal comments in the chat. Let me come to your comments right now. See. Up the Gunner says Gabriel for sure. Victor says, like, seriously, it's not a good deal to allow Smith Rowe to leave. I also wanted Smith Rowe to stay, but it depends. If Arsenal say the only way we can get Merino is by selling Smith Rowe, there's nothing much you can do with that because we have to sell players to get players. Again, I know people would say, why can't we sell Nketiah and Nelson first? There's no team that has put money for them yet. Smith Rowe, we have the money there. The other players, no one has given us the money yet, the likes of Ramsdale. So in terms of that, it's not in our hands. We have to wait for teams to make offer for those players. Cookie, how are you? Nice seeing you here. Really sad to see Emil go, but Calafiori is the good news, and we have to look at the positives. Yeah, for sure. I'm very sad that Smith Rowe is leaving. I really wanted him to stay. Him, Jesus, and Kiwi, I wanted all three of them to stay. But teams usually have to move on. If you're going to buy new players, you have to sell some. So if you're going to sign 3 players, we have to some of them have to go. Even last season, most of us wanted Xhaka to stay. But for Rice and Partey to play in the same team, Xhaka had to leave. For us to use that money to get Rice, Xhaka had to leave for us to gather that money as well to sign Rice. So nothing much we can do. Tayo says Smith Rowe has gone. Yeah, for sure he's gone. He's still part of the Arsenal team right now, but he's not going to play. We're not going to see him playing for Arsenal again, for sure. We'll love Ruiz and Merino, then maybe Bakayoko, and possibly then look at a striker. That's too many players. Okay, I don't think we're going to sign. Okay, so you're saying Ruiz or Merino, so that's one. And then Bakayoko and then a striker. Okay, that's not too many. That's like 4 players. But it depends. If Ramsdale leaves, you also need another goalkeeper on top of that. So I think we're going to sign Calafiori and then 2 more players. And then if we get another one, it's going to be at the end of the transfer window on loan with an obligation to buy or something. Or it could be a Ruiz or someone like that. I don't think you're going to sign 4 or 5 players in one transfer window. I also don't think we need 4 or 5 players. We only need like 2-3 players to improve our team, because the team that we have, Saka is still a starter, Odegaard is still there, Saliba is still there. And then left side, you still have Trossard and Martinelli. Jesus is still there. Havertz is still there. Aviera is still there. Nwaneri now is looking very good. I want him to get opportunities next season. Defensively, we have like 8 defenders in the team. So yes, we can get competition and backups, but you're not going to sign 5 players. Welcome home, Calafiori. Next is Gyökeres, says Omar. I would say next would be Merino because it's an easier deal to do. Fabian Ruiz next says Sosa. Zinchenko can play midfield. Ricardo Calafiori, welcome to the winning team. Next is a midfield and a striker, and we are good to go. That is what I want to see. If we get a midfield and striker, just those 2 players that I've spoken about, we are ready for next season. Absolutely ready. I don't know what you're going to do the backup for Saka, because at the moment Saka is not yet back even, so we don't really have a winger, out-and-out winger. Nelson is a tricky one, man. Nelson, the 2 games that we've played, Nelson has looked really good. The 2 games that we've played against Bournemouth and United. But I can't see him staying because he's already asked to leave Arsenal. So I can't see him staying at all. Unless no team comes in with an offer for him at all, then maybe, but I can't see it. Watching you from Nigeria, Kano State says, Dahiru, thank you. Welcome, Calafiori. We were waiting for the signing a lot. Next, we want a striker, says Sammy. What about a forward? Spoken about it. Negotiate, as well as the last 2 days and today as well, I've talked about strikers a lot. Like the previous video, after we finished this one, there's one I've spoken about Gyökeres in detail, and then 2 days ago I spoke about Gyökeres and Osimhen and all those guys. Ramsdale would hurt us as well, but I think this is part of us progressing to the next level. I'm getting so much joy now. Please, can someone tell Edu to hit Merino and the Sporting guy immediately? We have a league to consume this season, says Elias. Yes, let us rotate like Man City. Atta should stop the small club mentality of playing only 14 players throughout the Premier League. Pep rotates his players as required to win a tedious season long league, says Adebi. So in terms of last season using 15 players, I'll excuse him, because the thing was, we had that Atta did not want to use most of the players on the bench because he didn't feel they were good enough. So Cedric, Elneny, Nelson, Nketiah, who else was on the bench? So that is why he was using like 14, 15 players. So Trossard was coming off the bench, Kivio, Jorginho, which you can agree. Can he really replace Saka and play Nelson against Bayern Munich in the Champions League? You can't even take off Havertz and bring in Nketiah to play those games. That is also, it doesn't even match up to that level. The impact that Havertz had between January and May I don't think Kate would have had the same impact that Havertz had during that period. In terms of goalkeepers, I don't know. He kind of lied to us in terms of rotating the goalkeepers. Defensively, we had a couple of injuries with Timber and Tomiyasu. But next season, now there's no excuse of not like rotating the team. Hoping Martinelli is back to his best. Trossard is there. And then, all of those players that have played the last couple of seasons, plus the ones who are joining, plus the ones who are returning from injuries. We have a lot. You have a lot of players who can rotate next season. So I don't want anyone to play 38 games out of 38. Hopefully you can still hear me. The internet is going up and down. If we buy a striker, then Jesus can play on the right competition for Saka. Yeah, he can play there. Vieira can also play there, as we've seen. I have my preview for the Liverpool game coming up. I have Vieira starting on the right side for this one. I want to see him playing on that side. Oh, really? Let me just see that. Pavel says Fabrizio said something about Smith Rowe. Let me just check right now. Let me check that right now. He's still in Philadelphia, though, right? Let me see. As I come to that, let me read the rest of the comments. Allow Nelson to compete with Saka on the left wing. Unless he can't, then let him go. He already told Arsenal that we should give him opportunity to look for somewhere else to go. So when a player already says that, it's very difficult to keep them again. It's very, very difficult. And again, we'd be kind of lying to him if we told him you're going to play a lot next season. We'll be lying to him. Unless you really rotate with Saka, and Saka and Nelson are not on the same level. Let's be honest. Nelson leaves. We need a new right winger to be depth for Saka, in my opinion. I wanted Bakayoko even before we linked to him, but the money, Cookie, would be very difficult to get all of those players for that money, unless someone like a Bakayoko is like an obligation to buy next season or something like that. Players like Gyökeres are still available, so unless you want players like Gyökeres, it's going to cost you like 20 million. Smith Rowe is the one who wants to leave due to regular playing time, says Victor. Again, with that one, we're not sure, because we've also heard that Arteta doesn't really want to sell Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe doesn't really want to leave. Unless a very big opportunity comes in for him and we get a lot of money for him, then we'll let him go. And I guess 35 million is works out as good money for Arsenal. Really happy to see Calafiori signing, says Felix. Mustafa says Smith was on his way back to London. Kim says confidence in Calafiori is on another level. The departure of Smith is an add to Arsenal, says Bonnie from Kenya. Welcome to our family, says Isaac. Welcome to Arsenal, says Harry. Arsenal always make me happy. Let's go, Ghana, says Tendai from Botswana. Good evening, everyone. Good business for signing Ricardo, but now let's go for Victor Gyokeres and Merino. Then we are done. I think Arsenal are making me happy this year than Wenger's squad. Oh, yeah. Like the last part of Wenger's squad, the last year and the first years on the first year of Emre, and even during Arteta's first 2 years, it was terrible, man. The squad, we looked at our squad in 2021. Kolasinac, Chambers, Holding, Niles, Bellerin, Cedric came in, El Neni. Then those days, Xhaka was not good. So Xhaka was there as well. And then we had an Aubameyang who was, kind of wanting to leave and falling out with Arteta. And then we had an Ozil who was about to leave. And then we had Willock, and then we had Nelson as a youngster, Saka and Smith Rowe not there to save us. Like, our squad was horrific, man. Like, we had a defense where we were trying to choose whether we would play Holding or Chambers. Now we are having trouble to decide whether Timber or Ben White is going to start. So yeah, we actually have news on Smith Rowe. Fabrizio says Emil Smith Rowe has already left Arsenal camp. So thank you for the ones who've told me that. I'm in the chat. The comments are going so fast, it's already disappeared. But yeah, Mustafa said Smith is already back to London. Thank you. And someone also said he has news on Smith Rowe from Fabrizio. Marco Silva key to convince ESR to after many clubs wanted him. Arsenal accepted 27 million plus 7 million add-ons. That is in pounds. So that's around 34 million pounds because of very good conditions for payment terms. So yeah, Smith Rowe is definitely leaving Arsenal. So we have seen the last of Smith Rowe. We are going to start saying our goodbyes very, very soon. He's not going to be an Arsenal player. And we're not going to see him as part of the camp. Fabrizio has already confirmed that he has left the camp. He's traveling to London as we speak. Who do you think will get the vacant numbers 10, says Emerson. That one you've not spoken about. I've seen people saying give it to Nwaneri. no, man. Don't put number 10 to Nwaneri right now. That is a lot of pressure, man. Now, Nwaneri, I think, is going to be an incredible player for us. I want him even to play against Liverpool this week, like give him another start. But if you give someone like a Nwaneri number 10, that is too much pressure. It's too early. It's like the people who are saying play Chido Obi Martin next season. Even if he had stayed at Arsenal, that is too early. That is too much pressure. It's players like Yamal who happen like once in 10 years. You don't get players like that at every single team. So Nwaneri, no. Odegaard, I'm okay with Odegaard as a number 8. Players like Lampard and Gerrard were wearing the number 8 back in the day, so that is still a good number for a midfielder. People have said give Odegaard the number 10. I'd say wait for a new signing to come in and give them the number 10. I think at the end of the day, it could be if Merino joins us, I think is the one who's going to be given that number 10. Unless Martinelli is already 11. Is there anyone who, number 10, man? Who do you guys think should be given the number 10? I think I'd leave it vacant for whoever's coming into the team, whoever we feel like is good enough to be the number 10. Because I don't know Odegaard's connection to number 8 as well. Number 8 has had good midfielders, so number 8 is totally fine. So even if Odegaard transfers to number 10, number 8, who would get the number 8? So maybe give Atabak his number 8 and put him in the lineup. Wish him best of luck, says Musa. Can you please compare Calafiori with Gabriel, says Felix? Compare in terms of what? Because I don't want to say this one is better than this one. As I said, I want all of them to play next season. I don't want Gabriel to be on the bench next season. Now, in terms of ball carrying and going forward and things like that, Calafiori is better than Gabriel for sure. So in terms of going forward and attacking and creating chances, Calafiori is better at doing that. But you can also argue in terms of scoring, like set pieces and stuff, no one is better than Gabriel. So in terms of attacking, both of you can give you something. Gabriel can give you goals, and Calafiori can give you chances created and assists and stuff like that. In terms of defensively, both of them are good in terms of aerial duels. So that really helps us. That makes me think that next one you're going to score more corners and more free kicks as well. But what Tete is looking for, the ball interceptions and the tackling and all that, I think each of them has their own part of the game. So Gabriel is very physical. He's disciplined this day, so he doesn't just randomly commit fouls. He has a good relationship with Saliba. He's an out-and-out centre-back. He's not going to play for you a left-back or right-back. But Calafiori, in terms of ball progression, that's why Calafiori is going to be in the team. But as he progresses the ball, you still need Gabriel in the team. So I think for that one, I'd need to break it down more in a full video, but I don't want to compare them in terms of this one is better than this one. I think both of them start for us. I don't think Gabriel should be on the bench. I don't think Calafiori should be on the bench. So each one of them has their own part of the game. So you just need to balance it out. Have the one who is good on the ball and ball carrying and all that, which is Calafiori, and then have the one who's going to be physically battle with Haaland and those strikers, which is Gabriel. If you remove Gabriel from that team, I don't think you keep Man City out in terms of keeping clean sheets against them. Gabriel has to be there. Like the way Gabriel was dealing with Haaland last season in terms of power and all that, you need Gabriel in that team. And Gabriel, in terms of passing and lobbed passes as well, Gabriel is not bad. I saw again the other day, Martinelli going past the defender, and I think it was Gabriel who gave him the pass through pass. And Gabriel is good at that as well. I've seen Gabriel creating a few chances as well. So I think you need both of them on the pitch, Felix. But I'm not going to compare them in terms of who is better. I'm just happy to have both of them in the team. Welcome home, Calafiori, says Mugarura. Maybe Odegaard will change his jersey number to number 10, says King, and then Merino takes 8. That could be a possibility as well. Arsenal accepted 27 million plus 7 million in add-ons for Smith Rowe because of good conditions for payment, as Fabrizio said. Dan says this deal has taken so long. I feel like this is going to be second season playing for us. It feels like I even thought maybe we could see him playing against Liverpool before he even signs for us. But the fact that he's traveled to the USA in the last few days, because Arsenal is going to leave the USA on Friday or something. So Calafiori is only going to be there for 4 or 5 days. So the only reason he's gone there is to finalize the deal and to train a couple of times and play against Liverpool. So we are definitely going to see him making his debut. Festus says, welcome, Calafiori. Who do you think is going to replace Smith Rowe as he leaves? I think it's going to be Merino. I think Merino is going to be the one to replace him, because Merino is not going to start games for us. So I don't think so. I still think it's going to be Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. So Merino will be the one coming off the bench. So instead of Smith Rowe coming off the bench, it's going to be Merino coming off the bench. And then we also need a big season for Vieira. Now that Smith Rowe has left, it was either one of them. Either Vieira leaves or Smith Rowe leaves. Now that Smith Rowe has left, it's a big season for Vieira. We need to see a lot from him this season. as a backup for Saka, as a backup for Odegaard, even as a number 8. Big stuff for Vieira this time round, hoping that he delivers. One more. Welcome, Superstar, says Israel. And then, let me take 2 more. Loneker says midfielder plus striker. Then we are good to go. On the right side, we have Jesus Vieira for Saka. Mark says, I foresee Gabriel warming the bench. I don't like that, as I've said. I don't like that. Gabriel, in terms of those things I've just mentioned, Gabriel is not a bench player. I don't think so. Even every time we even have a corner and a free kick, Gabriel, it's almost like guaranteed you're going to have a shot on target from that. So just that, I think even our set piece coach will tell us, please do not remove Gabriel from that team. Now, we could see rotation, yes. We could see sometimes Calafiori is playing as a centre-back and Gabriel on the bench, but Gabriel is not a bench player, man. This is a player who's kept Man City to 0 goals in 2 games. You don't just drop a player like this. He managed to deal with Kane. Kane didn't score any open goals against us because of Gabriel and Saliba. And I think Saliba also has a very good relationship with Gabriel. So the moment you move Gabriel from there, I don't know how quickly Saliba will get used to playing with Calafiori. It will be a disgrace to see the best centre-back as a left-back. So you mean Calafiori. I mean, he's played as a left-back before, and we also these days, us and Man City play with 4 centre-backs. So Man City can, Mark, Man City we can say the same with Man City. Man City signed Gvardiol as one of the best centre-backs, but he plays as a left-back for them. And it's working. They signed Ake as one of the best centre-backs, but he's playing as a left-back now as well. So we signed Ben White as one of the best centre-backs as well, but he's now playing as a right-back. So it can work out. It can work out. Depends. I want to see a lot of rotation, though. I don't think it's easy as that to just drop Gabriel. Remember when he signed Saliba? Not signed Saliba. When Saliba came back after his 3 loan spells in 2022, just before he played Crystal Palace at the beginning of that season, people were saying because Ben White and Gabriel are playing together as centre-backs, people are saying, nah, remove Ben White from this team, put him on the bench, play Saliba and Gabriel. Now, Saliba eventually became a centre-back, but we found another role for Ben White. And look at Ben White now. He's one of the best defenders in the league. So you can't remove Gabriel from there at all. How many minutes do you think that Calafiori will play against Liverpool? Says Emerson. Well, Emerson, I've already recorded my preview for Liverpool. I'm going to post it in 1 hour. I have all the details there, so make sure to check that one out. Is that a good way to send people to a different video? I think it is. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.